Seglaren, vad säger du?
Schysst segelväder. Ändå schysst att vara kvar i.
Try to head out, see if we can capture anything good from our hometown, Gothenburg, where we live. So right now we've just been down and taken some good footage from the marina, one of the marinas. It's so many marinas here in Gothenburg, and so this is one of them. It's about 10 minutes drive from where we live. I mean, first of all, we have never told you who we are actually. Have we? We've never explained what we do back home in Sweden. First of all, we're Swedish. But most of you knew that already, so not a big surprise. Right now I'm working part-time in the boat chandlery. I've actually quit my job before I left. I thought I wouldn't return, but I did. So I work in one of the biggest boat chandleries in Sweden. And what are you doing?
I'm a design engineer and I'm working at a consultant firm. I've been on a leave now since the latest Mexico trip, so I'm very happy that I have a job at the moment in this COVID-19 time. So.
But you're working mostly against Volvo. In January, we will be celebrating 20 years together.
Oh my God! I hope we don't forget that one.
Oh, 20 years. Yeah, we're pretty good at forgetting our anniversary.
We often remind ourselves a couple of days after the date.
So I was 19 when I met Karen, and she was 17. So.
Then you know how old we are.
When we got into sailing and how we did get into it, and do you remember? I mean, the first. Why did you even touch sailing?
My memory is that you just finished your university studies and you were unemployed and you had a lot of time to spend on the computer.
Yeah, that's sort of what I remember too. I mean, I found this couple who sail around the world. And I had no idea about people doing this. I mean, I knew people were sailing around the world, but I only thought it was like racing. I didn't know anything about this community, the sailing community, yeah, like around the world. So I was pretty amazed, and after 2-3 days of reading, I asked Karen if she wanted to do it, and she said yes. And yeah, about 2 years later, we actually bought our first boat in Panama. That's how it is. Panama it is. And but before that, we actually owned 2 boats. Because when we had bought the boat in Panama,
we didn't know, like, we'd never been to a boat at that moment almost.
No, we have never even been on board a sailboat before.
Because
first when we actually came up with the idea sailing around the world, it actually took a while. And we started to read a lot of things about boats. But it still took a long time before we even stepped on board the first time on a sailboat.
Yeah, we didn't know, like, we knew we wanted to do it, but we didn't know anything about how it will feel to be in an actual boat.
Yeah.
So we bought a boat in Panama, and then at the same time we bought a small boat in Norway where you were living at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's the first time we stepped foot on a sailboat.
And that was actually a very small boat. It was 22 feet, and we actually moved into this small boat and lived there for 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good old times. So we were 22 at that time, I think. So young people. Yeah, that's how we got into sailing.
Let's go and have a cold bath. This is the road, the cold bath.
What the heck is a cold bath?
Just go out in the ocean and have a swim. That's what you do. Here is the house for kallbadhus. So this is the house. You pay to enter and to take off your clothes because it's only allowed to swim naked here.
Oh yeah, isn't that very typical Swedish to say? Because you remember, first time we were in Panama, they had the Swedish beach, they called it, and that was actually a nude beach. Yeah.
Famous Swedish beach.
Yeah, Swedish is so famous for being liberal, or what is it? So we bought this boat in Panama, this Endeavourcat 30, and everything was new for us. We sort of knew how to sail. We had the small boat in Oslo, yeah, so in Panama we started to learn how things worked on the boat. We installed some new items. We went down to one island, maybe a couple of hours away, learned some things, how to anchor, and then we went further away, maybe 35 miles, like a full day sailing, and got into that. And then further on we did like 2-3 days sailing with night sailing, and that was a little bit scary.
For you,
Maybe not scary, but it was like, yeah, it was odd because you couldn't see anything what was in front of you or around you. Yeah, do you remember?
Yeah, I think I was scared too.
No, I think scared maybe was the wrong word because I'm never scared.
There were so many things we did for the first time, and I think we grow as persons also, and we just try to get comfortable with the boat, and I felt very safe with the boat.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the perfect boat for that trip, for sure, but somehow we just, I don't know, just got tired of looking at boats that got sold, and yeah, and finally we just wanted to leave, and we said, oh well, let's leave within half a year, and then we had this and this money, and this boat showed up, and it was actually a Swedish owner, so we felt everything was easier, and it was located in Panama, it was a catamaran, and we just, let's buy it.
That's us. Just buy it.
Just buy it, yeah. And there was no renovation needed. You just install a radar, a GPS plotter, some new batteries, a couple of more solar panels. So
It was a good first boat for us.
Yeah.
What if we would have bought this boat in Mexico as our first boat?
I don't know.
Then we would never be sailing.
Oh yeah, you mean hot sauce? Oh my gosh, yeah. I say to everybody, it's good that this is our third adventure. Otherwise, if this would have been our first, it would have been so sad. Just imagine you're working hard on the boat to get out there, see what's in the Pacific or wherever you are, and you never finished. And oh my gosh, no, that would have been terrible. I think it's already almost terrible these 3 years we're putting down on the boat, but at least we know what's out there and what's waiting. Yeah, enough about that. But no, but the first trip was great. I mean, it was very exciting. Everything was new.
And we were young. And we had a weird boat. You could say weird boat. Not that many people had that kind of boat. So
No,
people were taking care of us.
Yeah, of course. But you remember, we sort of always had the smallest boat, although it was pretty much one of the bigger boats. It's not the bigger one, but inside it was huge. But that's not what I'm...
and the biggest dinghy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So everybody they were very amazed with our dinghy. It was a Carib 310, so about 10 feet. And everybody asked us, oh, that's a nice dinghy. Did it come with a boat? Everybody asks that. Yeah, so it was a good dig. Yeah. So it was a nice trip, the first one. It took us 15 months, I think, to get to Australia, where we sold the boat. And
Do you still keep in contact with that owner?
yeah, it was a while now, but the boat has been sold 2 or 3 times since we sold it. And the thing is, I always keep track on where it is, or sort of the boat keeps track on where I am, because somehow it always shows up in some kind of feed somewhere. And
it came up in a forum. Somebody was asking for this kind of boat, if they could find it in Australia. And then you or somebody answered and said there's only one of these kind in Australia. So
yeah,
it's hard to find.
So yeah, it got sold, and then we backpacked for 6 months. So totally we were away for a little bit more than 20 months. Long trip.
Yeah, it was a long trip. And then when we got home to Sweden, I was very happy. Because, yeah, we fulfilled the dream, and it was good to be back and to get my first job after my exam. But you were like looking for boats again, and you wanted to get out there again. And I said, no, now we need to stay in Sweden for a while, and you just had to wait for the next adventure.
Yeah, so we got back home, and I started a business, had it for a couple of years. I mean, it went alright in the beginning, but then it started going out, down, and I started thinking about the sailing, because everything was so awesome on our first adventure. So I started planning a new trip. So I think from the day we came home till we actually bought a boat again, I think it was about 5 years. So we bought another boat in Martinique, in the Caribbean, and we had a lot of crew on board. That was fun. My brother was with us for 6 months, and my parents came and visited us again in Panama. It was different. I mean, I don't regret it. Maybe it just wasn't as exciting as the first one. Maybe had that expectations, maybe, or the first time is always the first time. Of course, the second time we just felt more confident. We knew everything. So of course that was good things. So it's not that I'm saying that the second trip was bad or so. It's very awesome. We saw new places, met a lot of people, crew, locals. No, we had a real good trip, I think. We're fighting a lot more. I don't know why.
You and me, you mean?
Yeah, we were fighting a lot more. I mean, we're usually not fighters, but yeah, somehow, I don't know. Maybe we just got older, or that's how it is. But we're still together, and
all relationships has its up and down.
Of course, we're spending 24/7 together. So that people are usually pretty amazed about people still sticking together. So it is what it is. And,
what kind of boat did we have?
Oh, sorry. Of course, a catamaran. What else? We bought a 38-foot catamaran.
You were almost all around the world to find a boat for that trip.
Yeah.
That was great for you.
Yeah. Don't bring that up. I went here and there.
Just tell me the countries you've been to.
I first went to Mexico. No, I first went to the United States, to Florida. Went there for 3 weeks. Didn't find what I was looking for. Went to Mexico maybe 2 months later. Didn't find what I was looking for. But at the same time, a boat showed up in Tunisia. So I flew home, booked a ticket to Tunisia again. And somehow, I don't know, it was actually a super good deal. I don't know. Today I think I was stupid not to take the deal, but somehow I got a bad feeling. I flew back home. It was summer. Karen had vacation. We found a big 49-foot catamaran in Croatia. We went down there, but it was still a lot of work that wasn't finished. They were supposed to finish it. We said, no, we'll skip that one. And then I flew to Martinique, I think. And there I had one boat, and I had one in Tobago as well, Trinidad, but we bought the one.
We already knew we would buy a boat, so you brought everything you need and said either one of them, and
one was a monohull, one was a catamaran. Of course, I wanted the catamaran. So. Anyhow, yeah, we sailed that through the Caribbean, over the Pacific, South Pacific again, and sold it in Australia. And that trip was about 1.5 years. So 18 months.
What we did we say? Like all these times, we only spend 1 week, just the two of us on the boat.
Oh yeah. It was always crew on board, and me and Karen, we were never alone. So that was the downside of things. So if I would do it again, I would bring more time for just two of us.
Or maybe we have killed each other then.
Yeah. Skärgårdsbåtar, what does that mean?
Archipelago boats.
Oh yeah.
Like take the boat out to the southern archipelago in Gothenburg. This is one of our favorite areas in town where we usually go in the summer.
Yeah, it's pretty big archipelago, and this is just a small portion what we have here on the west coast.
Yeah, most of the summers in Sweden we haven't had a boat, so then it's perfect to go out with a ferry.
Yeah, this is the South Archipelago. It's super nice.
This is the favorites because there's no cars on these islands. There is roads, but most people just use these small golf carts or another kind of moped. Here is the tram, which we have here in
Gothenburg, yeah. And some people have been wondering a little bit how it's in Sweden because they've been reading so much and they've been hearing on the news abroad about the COVID situation. And yeah, of course, it's a lot of cases here, but it's been gone down pretty. It's right now the curves are looking pretty good, I think. And I mean, it's hard to say who's done good and
yeah, we have a pretty bad reputation here in Sweden because we don't really have a lockdown. Our government just tells us to keep the distance. That's the most important thing for us here, and don't gather up in crowds. Yeah. Maximum allow
50 people.
50 people is only allowed in a crowd. And we as a couple, we avoid using the what's it called? The buses.
The local transportation.
Yeah, try to avoid that, and yeah, we keep our distance when we go to the stores, and it's not that many things you do, and it's not a lot of people stay at home, actually, I would say.
Yeah. The thing is, you see that a lot of people working from home.
Yeah.
So in the office, it's not a lot of people. You say you're working almost alone at your work.
Exactly.
Yeah, and otherwise, there's not a lot of restrictions. Restaurants are open. I guess the movies are open. There's no audience on the sport events, and there's no concerts. So of course you notice a lot like that, but you don't have to wear masks, and you can still go out and eat. And yeah, so just try to don't forget about the social distancing. So that's sort of it. And but we don't know anybody who's been infected really. Maybe we know one or two, but yeah. So that's how it is.